What's up guys, this is Scott with the Getting Started Guide for Building and Foraging in VulcanVerse. I put this tutorial together with Weepig, and if you'd rather read a Getting Started Guide, you can find the one he wrote up in the description below. Before we do anything, you'll need to have a MyForge account set up and at least one plot of land. If you don't have either of these, you can check out my videos for getting an account set up here, and buying an NFT from the MyForge marketplace here. Let's not waste any more time and get right to it so you can get started building. In the world, the extents of each plot are shown by the grid lines. You can find your plot by opening up the map with M and looking for the highlighted blue plot. Once you find it, you will see your name on the plot. You can turn off the plot lines by pressing P. Every plot in VulcanVerse is 20 by 20 meters, of which not every square meter is buildable. You can see the extents that I'm able to build if I own a single plot. This lets users be able to move between plots and not get trapped. But if you own two connecting plots, you can build across the grid lines like this. Your Vulcanite action bar appears as default. Right now we're going to focus on just the foraging action. To send your Vulcanite to go forage, press 2 or the forage button. After about 30 seconds, your Vulcanite will either successfully or unsuccessfully forage. If successful, a big pop-up screen will show up with what you just foraged. Press I to bring up your inventory and see the materials you have foraged. To switch Vulcanites, open up the Vulcanite menu by pressing this button, and then hitting the plus button next to the Vulcanite you want to summon. If you don't want to have any Vulcanites active, you can dismiss it by pressing this X. So now that you've foraged the materials, we can start building. To switch between the Vulcanite action bar and your avatar's action bar, press X or click this button. This bar consists of several options. Pressing 1 or clicking on this button will dismiss your user interface so you can run around without any interference from the menus. The second action is the build action. With this action selected, a pop-up appears and the default item or the last item used pops up. The default item is always a foundation. To open up the item menu, press Tab. On the left side of this menu, you can select different categories for building assets. In order to place any asset, you'll need enough materials from foraging. In the bottom right corner of every asset, you can see what you need to forage to be able to build the asset. So say you wanted to build a foundation. It will cost you 5 wood and 2 copper. Now if you have enough of these materials and click on the foundation, you will see the foundation appear on your land where your cursor is. If the asset is green, that means you can place it in this location. If it is red, that means you're unable to place it. To rotate an asset, use a scroll wheel on your mouse. To place an asset, just left mouse click. If you don't like the placement of an asset or want to start over, press 2 and hover over the asset until it turns red and click. This asset will be deleted and all of the materials will be returned to your inventory. If you want to place a second foundation adjacent to the one you just placed, hover over the area next to the existing foundation and the new one will snap to that location. You'll need to build a foundation before you're able to build any walls, doors, or windows. Back in the building menu, you can scroll through the list of those assets currently available. When you've selected one, you'll see some snap points on the foundation where you can place the wall. Just hover over the snap point you want and click on it. If your wall has a door or a window, you can use the scroll wheel to rotate it 180 degrees. With walls placed, we can add a roof. Click on one you like and look for those snap points and click on it. Now that you've got your house built, you'll need to save it. Press X and you'll get a pop-up asking if you'd like to save your build. Click yes and you're good to go. You can mess around with different assets in the build menu. Just note that these two categories below that building assets can only be placed on foundations or walls. And the two below them can be placed anywhere on your plot. With level 1 assets, your buildings are going to be pretty basic, but as you level your land, your assets will get bigger and better. Here are some cool buildings that people have made in alpha with some higher level assets. The third option in the action bar changes you to add and dig mode, known as Terra Morphing. This lets you add and remove land. When you switch to Terra Morphing, you'll see a pop-up box in the lower left-hand screen that says Add. To switch back and forth between Add and Dig, press the Terra Morph button or press 3. The values represent how high you can add and how deep you can add. To change the values, press the plus and minus keys. For level 1 land, the max is 3 for adding and 3 for digging. When hovering your cursor over your land in Terra Morphing mode, you will see a yellow glow. If it's nighttime, your land will brighten up while Terra Morphing, so it's easier to see. While in Add, click on a spot and you'll see that the land starts being built up each time you click. And in Dig mode, it does just the opposite. Similar to how building assets are pretty limited at level 1, so is Terra Morphing. As you level your land, you'll be able to add higher and dig deeper. Here's some shots of what people were able to terramorph in alpha with higher add and dig limits. The next action is adding textures to your land. Click the icon or press 4 and you'll switch to texture mode. These are the current textures in Arcadia you can use, and pressing 4 switches between them. Each quadrant has its own textures. The last action is adding water. Click the button or press 5 to switch to this mode. You'll need to have some type of hole dug out to place the water. By raising or lowering your cursor, you're able to set the elevation of water. Press the button again and you can delete the water. And that's it. By combining all these different actions, you can make some really awesome builds. So go out there and let's see what you can make. Thanks for watching and check out some of these builds some have created in alpha.